1 year ago, my marriage entered a serious crisis, and it was the best thing that ever happened to us. These are the words of Matthew Keller, author of The Empty Cellar blog and a former Catholic Alpha client.
Welcome to the Save My Catholic Marriage podcast, the podcast that helps you fight for your marriage when separation, divorce, annulment, or a sexless marriage are on the table. I'm Jerry Jacobs Jr., author of From I Do to I'm Done, The Wife's Exit Strategy. And for over 11 years, through more than 1,000 one-on-one sessions and over 500 group sessions, I've helped Catholic men reclaim leadership, stop chasing, and rebuild marriages that looked impossible to save. Men don't come to me when things are fine. They come when she says, I'm done. I want out. You're not the man I married. They come when the marital embrace is gone, when trust is broken, when desire is dead, and when her bags are already packed. I'm not a therapist. I'm a war coach. I'm the man you come to when you think you've tried everything else and sadly find everything else doesn't work. I help you ignite the Holy Spirit and take the fight to the enemy. No tips, no tricks, no soft advice. I train men to become the husband their wife has been begging for in silence, and the man Christ has been calling them to be. If this sounds like you, then brother, welcome to the battle. The battle for her heart, for her mind, for her body, for her soul. This is the Save My Catholic Marriage podcast, the Catholic war room for men. Pray hard, lead bold, love fierce. Bam! Today's episode is a little different. This is not a normal teaching episode. This is a battlefield testimony. A former Catholic Alpha client, Matthew Keller, wrote a public blog post sharing 10 ways his work changed his life, his marriage, his prayer, and his understanding of what it means to be a Catholic husband. I wanted to honor him by sharing that reflection with you today. Not because this is about me, it's not. It's about what happens when a man stops making excuses, starts looking into the mirror, begins taking prayer seriously, and finally accepts that his marriage is not just a relationship, it is a battlefield. So, today, I'm going to let Matthew's words speak. You'll hear his 10 lessons. You'll hear what changed. You'll hear what hit him. And if you are a husband listening to this while your marriage is cold, distant, sexless, separated, or on the edge of divorce, or as many say in the just everything is fine stage, then don't just listen to his story. Ask yourself, what is God trying to wake up in me? This is the Marriage Strategist Strike Files, and today we open a special battlefield testimony. 10 ways Catholic marriage coaching changed one husband's life. So, let's get battle ready. Bam.
One year ago, my marriage entered a serious crisis, and it was the best thing that ever happened to us.
"10 Ways My Marriage Coach Changed My Life" by Matthew Keller, The Empty Cellar blog. 1 year ago, my marriage entered a serious crisis, and it was the best thing that ever happened to us. At the time, God had blessed us with 2 of his most beautiful girls to take care of. One was 2 years, and the other was 8 months old. We were each working full-time jobs as well, so we were busy, and well set in our routines. Leading up to the crisis, I thought everything was great. I would have said I was a good husband in a good marriage. I strived to perform acts of service for my wife because that's her love language. I put her good above my own. We were married in the church, attended Sunday Mass, and I prayed for her several times a week, often through the rosary. I remembered her birthday, our anniversary, and Mother's Day, and would buy her flowers and write her cards. All these marks of a good husband had lulled me into a state of complacency over our 4 married years. I didn't realize the many ways I was neglecting her and the bad habits that were corroding our marriage's foundation. I was failing in my primary responsibility as a husband to help my wife get to heaven. Looking back, I can say that I was on that dim, downhill path of mediocrity and selfishness that only leads to divorce. God loved me too much to let me stay in that state. So he sent me into a violent storm. My wife could sense she didn't have my full heart. The details of our crisis don't matter as much as my subsequent journey to becoming a real man and husband. It's enough to say that my wife made it clear she was not happy and something had to change. Looking back, I appreciate what a courageous thing that was for my wife to do. Most wives would have simply kept living in a complacent state of telling themselves, everything will be okay. It's not that bad. I'm so grateful she chose to act after sensing that something was off. A good Catholic friend, whom I asked for prayers, cared enough to follow up and make sure everything was okay. When he learned how serious our issues were, he highly encouraged me to hire a marriage coach who had strengthened his own marriage years prior. That coach's name is Jerry Jacobs Jr., and he forever changed my marriage and my family's generational trajectory. This man opened my eyes. I want to share with you the view to 10 incredible new horizons I now see that fill my life with sunlight and hope. After following Jerry's program for 1 year, let me tell you, it was uphill, it was rough going, and it was work. But what a magnificent panorama I now see and want every husband to see. Jerry would be the first to tell you, it's not his program so much as it is God's. He was called by God to do this work, and every inch of his program is true and faithful to God's one holy, Catholic, and apostolic church. That's because you can't save your marriage alone. Marriage only works with Christ at the center, his sacramental graces flowing into the hands of his mother and then into your marriage. Without further ado, here's your shortcut to these 10 horizons it took me a year to reach.
Hey, if your marriage is quietly falling apart, this is not a coincidence. Separation, divorce, annulment are not the cause. They are the consequences. Because behind every marriage crisis, there's a pattern, a progression most men never see. Until it's too late, or there's several moves behind. Look, when a crisis hits, rookies sit down, deny, procrastinate, do nothing, and lose hope. A strategist? He stands, he plans, he takes action, he holds his ground, and he rests in Christ. So, the question is, rookie or strategist? Because most men try to fix this alone and crash and burn. A crisis demands a plan, not advice. Your first move, get the field manual. From I do to I'm done, the wife's exit strategy. A Christian husband's Catholic guide to halting her hidden plan to leave, divorce, or annul you. Go to SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com.
Prayer. is not passive and feminine. It's the hardest and most manly work you'll ever do.
1. Pray every day. This is Jerry's 1-to-1 exhortation to husbands. Engage in prayer warfare because your marriage is hunted by an enemy that does not sleep. This is war, and the opposition is smarter, stronger, and more numerous than you. They are demons. You wake up every day in enemy territory, surrounded by landmines and ambushes. You can only win this war with God, fighting for you. And for that, you must talk to Him. All men need a prayer regimen, not a routine, because words matter. They change how we think about things. Regimen is a manful word. It implies regular action and strenuous effort. If you think prayer is passive and feminine, think again. It's the hardest and most manly work you'll ever do. I knew all this before my crisis, but my prayers were inconsistent and unfocused. Jerry gave me a daily regimen of vocal and meditative prayer consisting of 2 rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, binding prayers, marriage, in crisis prayers, and Auxilium Christianorum prayers. I balked at first because these take over an hour to pray. But it was either that or leave my marriage undefended. The way I had been living brought me to crisis, so something significant had to change if I wanted to change my outcome. Jerry said I had to get prayer in anywhere where I could fit it in. So if I had to pray on my commute to the office or pray in the men's locker room or anywhere else there was odd gaps of time, that's better than not praying at all. I still had to wake up extra early, but it felt so good to actively do something because I felt helpless and aimless before starting the regimen. Oddly enough, it was in surrendering control to God that I found a satisfying sense of control. Men have this innate desire to be useful and contribute by doing something, ideally with their hands. It's frustrating when we don't know what to do. Just tell me what to do, I'll do anything, we find ourselves saying. Prayer not only defends your home and serves your wife, it scratches that do something itch wonderfully. When a good husband learns he has God-given authority to repel demons from his domain, his home, marriage, family, and wife. In the name of Jesus, watch him take up his weapons and rise to the occasion. We just want to beat the bad guys and save the beautiful girl. That's what a real man does, and he does it first and foremost by prayer, specifically spiritual warfare prayers. An interesting side note, Jerry cautioned me about praying for anyone or anything other than my marriage, wife, and kids while in the program. Only my immediate circle. That's the Ordo Amoris, the order of love, the hierarchy of affections. Take care of yourself first so you can better care for others later, especially in marriage crisis. It's what you must do. A final guidance. Praying isn't about quality or quantity. It's about trying. We think there's some perfect way to pray we fall short of, so we give up. A lot of times, prayer is messy, and that's okay. When I got married, the one question no one could answer for me was, how can I pray more with my wife? Jerry finally cracked that nut. It may be as simple as 3 Hail Marys, but you have to try.
Let me pause right here because this matters. If you're listening to this and you're realizing your situation is already escalating, she's pulled away, talking divorce, or the marriage is breaking down in real time, then don't try to figure this out alone. Most men do, and they crash and burn because they don't understand what they're truly up against. Separation, divorce, annulment, they follow a pattern. And a crisis like this demands a plan, not advice. Inside the manual, you'll see exactly where you are in the breakdown and the next steps to stabilize it. And if you're ready, you'll have the option to work with me directly and map out your next moves. Go to SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com.
Battlefield testimony. Real sex is selfless. It's more about service and sacrifice than pleasure.
2. Strive for holy lover sex. I understand the polite, cleaned up, and guarded way we talk about sex in public discourse. Discretion matters. But it's also unfortunate that no one teaches soon-to-be married men how to have real sex. Not what Hollywood or porn taught them sex is. Real sex is selfless. It's more about service and sacrifice than pleasure. Much like prayer, it's tough work, especially for the husband who must always put his wife's needs before his own. Jerry calls it holy lover sex because when it's done, according to God's plan, sex builds holiness within you. It's the number 2 most important thing a husband can do for his marriage. Start thinking of it as the marital embrace, enkindled bliss, the art of the caress, bringing out your wife's sacred self. Not something we do, but who we are. Jerry cut down the walls of propriety around sex real quick, because there's no time to skirt around the issue. His guys are in crisis, decisive action, and direct language are needed. One of the first things you realize listening to Jerry is that the amount of time 99% of husbands devote to making love is simply not enough. Jerry talks about the one flesh union lasting hours. That's kind of like an Olympian athlete showing you, a beginner, his gold medal to motivate you as you strive for the same greatness. It seems completely out of reach, but just knowing it exists changes your life. He raises the bar about 10 notches when it comes to the euphoria you should be giving your wife during holy lover sex. But he doesn't expect you to achieve this in 1, 2, or 3 years. For some men, it could take a decade or more, but what matters is you're striving to get there. So how do you get there? I'll give you one major tip. The food you eat and don't eat matters tremendously. When you eat highly processed food, think prepackaged, and anything sugary or high in carbs, you put toxins in your system that weaken your sexual performance. It's all connected. Opt for whole, natural foods and healthy meals made at home. The best thing you can do is fast all day. If you're in control of your diet and appetite, it should be no surprise you'll have more control in the bedroom. This kind of self-denial is not for the faint of heart. It's real man work. Here are a few aha moment insights from Jerry's program that transformed how I thought about sex. End your pleasure-seeking attitude at once. This direct language was like a snap in my face. This imperative especially applies to men who must lead by example in all things. Sex should be oriented around what is most comfortable and pleasing for the wife. Sorry, fellas, says Jerry. Of course the man will always enjoy sex. But when pleasure is his main goal, sex becomes disordered. The husband must delay his pleasure as long as possible for his wife's sake. True intimacy starts outside the bedroom. Men, if you want your lovemaking to be genuine and fulfilling, you must do most of the work before you get in bed. It's about the little ways you show her your love, day in and out. Shed the idea that the only time you make love to your wife is sex. When you anticipate her needs, do chores for her, and express appreciation for her, you're building intimacy that leads to better and more frequent sex. Jerry says, expecting sex without laying the groundwork is husband malpractice. Without the one flesh union, God leaves the bedroom. The way this statement is phrased to emphasize God's presence and potential absence as soon as you break from his plan for sex really resonated with me. God's plan for sex is the expression of marital love through the one flesh union. Every other kind of sex, including oral sex, can be labeled as weird sex stuff and may be exciting at first, but is ultimately unsatisfying, leaving you with a lingering shame. Flipping this thought is equally powerful. With the one flesh union, God is present in the room, blessing the couple's union. The scoffer will mock you for this, saying you have no sexual freedom and are fettered with guilt. The opposite is true. Following God's plan for sex is how you never feel guilty about sex again. The fences God puts up around sex give you true freedom to explore where it's safe, rather than be crippled with fear about how far you can go and crippled with guilt when you inevitably go too far. Masturbation is the ultimate act of selfishness. Deep down, all men know this is shameful behavior. The essence of sexual pleasure is that it is to be shared. It's an inversion of God's plan for sex, and you must completely cut it out of your life. It destroys your masculinity. Masturbation's sister sin, pornography, is equally destructive and tantamount to cheating on your wife. You won't hear this truth from our infantile culture, but honestly, examine your conscience, and that will be enough. Men, you are called to the difficult work of controlling your urges, especially your base appetites. It is possible. Contraception is the second ultimate act of selfishness. As Jerry says, don't shoot the messenger on this one. This is Christ talking. Whenever you separate babies from sex, you're going down a dark path. Using contraception makes your wife an object of your pleasure. It's like using your wife as a punching bag. There are no consequences on the line, and love must have consequences to be love. If you want proof, contraception is of the devil, look at its fruits. Since that little pill became mainstream in the 1960s, divorce and abortions both steeply climbed. Contraception is the TNT that Satan places at the foundation of the family as he sabotages all that is sacred.
Listen, if this episode hit you hard, good. Because that means you're finally seeing what's really happening. This doesn't fix itself. It doesn't slow down. And it doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Every day you sit still, you lose ground. And she moves further into the wife's exit strategy. So don't sit on this. Don't overthink it. Don't go back to doing nothing. Go to SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. Get the field manual. See the pattern. Take your first real step. Because right now, you're either becoming the man who saves this marriage or the man who watches it disappear. Hey, I'm your coach now. Let's get battle ready. Bam!